Now at 6 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, the next hearing for 4 former Industrial High School baseball players is set. Congressman Michael Cloud makes an appearance at Donald Trump's New York City trial. And 3 Industrial High School seniors sign with colleges, but not for sports.
Not to worry, folks, the rain will be ending overnight, and by tomorrow there'll be plenty of sunshine. But there are a few sprinkles out there, and we'll be talking about your weekend coming up in just a moment.
And the postseason out on the baseball and softball diamonds continue. Who's moving on and who's maybe going home? I'll have that in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker. Karina Garcia has the night off. This afternoon, authorities in DeWitt County responded to a scene of explosions in Westhoff. The sheriff says no one was hurt or killed, but the scene is still under investigation, and authorities are working to account for everyone who was there. This was at a saltwater disposal plant called Adventech. It is in the 14,000 block of Highway 87 North. DPS troopers arrested a 32-year-old Victoria suspect Thursday. Tyler Peoples faces 2 counts of online solicitation of a minor. He is in the Victoria County Jail in lieu of $50,000 bond. Bond is set now on a 22-year-old Calhoun County suspect arrested Thursday. Elijah Harvey of Port Lavaca is charged with sexual assault of a child, violation of parole. He is in the Calhoun County Jail in lieu of $30,000 bond. Calhoun County deputies arrested a 35-year-old suspect Wednesday. Christopher Johnson faces 3 charges of burglary of a home. He is in the Calhoun County Jail in lieu of $100,500 bond. The next hearing for 4 former Industrial High School baseball players is reset to June 7th. Cullen Stumfold, Christopher McCrory, Zachary Kukler, and Braxton Warren are indicted on charges of organized criminal assault. Industrial ISD reports the incident occurred on April 27, 2023. Jackson County deputies arrested 2 suspects from Lolita earlier this week. Stinson Wallum and Julie Clark, both 50 years old, were arrested in connection with a burglary at a house on the Lavaca River on October 6, 2023. Wallum faces 3 charges, including theft of firearms and unlawful possession of a firearm by a felon. He is in the Jackson County Jail in lieu of $60,000 bond. Clark faces 2 charges, including theft of firearms. She was in the Jackson County Jail in lieu of $20,000 bond. She has bonded out. An Operation Lone Star Task Force and DPS helped in the arrests. A 23-year-old suspect was arrested by DeWitt County deputies Wednesday. Jacob Catron of Cuero is charged with improper relationship between an educator and a student. He is in the DeWitt County Jail in lieu of $35,000 bond. At least 4 people are dead as multiple rounds of powerful storms clobber the South. The Weather Prediction Center says a rare level of rain is behind these scenes from Texas yesterday. Today, Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi are drenched as the system also stretches to states farther east. Powerful winds are adding to the danger. Officials say multiple people are dead from severe weather in Houston. A building there is partially collapsed and some skyscrapers have shattered windows. And we have just received word that Houston Mayor John Whitmire has signed a disaster declaration for the 4th biggest city in the country. And now let's take a first look at your forecast. Here's First Warning Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Pettis. Mac, right now, are we safe from storms at this point?
Yes, as a matter of fact, things are beginning to stabilize. In fact, we're the last ones to finally clear out. You can see how the cloud deck is just thinning out just to the south of us. So it's sunny in San Antonio and Corpus, not so much for us, but our rain should be ending overnight and things are looking a whole lot nicer for the weekend. We'll talk about that and we'll take a look at the Houston storm situation. All that coming up in just a moment. Back to you, Don.
Mac, thank you. 2 candidates are in the runoff race for Victoria County Commissioner Precinct 3. Shannon Martin is running for Victoria County Commissioner Precinct 3. He previously served the Victoria Fire Department for over 35 years. He's active in the community through organizations such as the Victoria Livestock Show and the local Emergency Planning Commission. He won 49% of the vote in the March 5th primary. Martin talked with 25 News Now's Lupe Zapata.
As a business owner, how has your work as a business owner, how is that going to help you? as a county commissioner?
Well, it gives me a well-rounded perspective to bring to the court. My tenure and experience with the fire department, working with taxpayers' budgets, allocating that money properly, having the opportunity to work with county, city, state, and even federal officials at times, so I have that. And then when you bring in the personal business experience, I have that as well. I have some construction background experience, and I think that makes me a well-rounded candidate to sit on the court and make good decisions for the people of this community in Victoria County.
Shannon Martin is facing Brad Tucker in the May 28th runoff for Victoria County Commissioner Precinct 3. Early voting for the May 28th runoff election starts next Monday. Early voting takes place at the Dr. Patty Dotson Public Health Center, 2805 North Devero, Classroom A. Early voting hours are next Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. U.S. Representative District 27 Michael Cloud joined several of his conservative House Freedom Caucus colleagues in New York to support former President Donald Trump during his ongoing trial. In a statement, Congressman Cloud said, quote, "What is happening to former President Trump right now is just plain un-American, and our leaders have a responsibility to stand up and say so, not for politics, but for the country," unquote. Governor Greg Abbott pardoned a former Army sergeant convicted of murdering a protester at a Black Lives Matter rally in 2020. Daniel Perry was sentenced last year to 25 years in prison for fatally shooting 28-year-old Air Force veteran Garrett Foster. Abbott's pardon came after the Texas Board of Pardons and Paroles unanimously voted to recommend a full pardon and the restoration of Perry's firearm rights. He was released from prison Thursday afternoon. Here's a reviewer poll this evening. Scan that QR code on your screen to vote now. Here's the question. Does Daniel Perry's pardon set a precedent for future self-defense claims during protests? Yes or no? Let's look at the numbers. 39% of our voters said yes, 61% say no. We thank you for voting. We want to hear your opinion. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part, and I will have an update on 25 News Now at 10. You know, we've shown you over the years high school student athletes from the Crossroads signing with colleges. Well, this morning, 3 industrial high school seniors signed with colleges for theater and fine arts scholarships. Ryan Barr signed with Tyler Junior College for theater. Mia Sanchez signed with UT Austin for an art scholarship. And Addison Malik gets a scholarship to the Belmont School of Music.
The fine arts kids aren't usually the ones that are the big upfront kind of people, but I'm really glad to see this happen in our school. It makes me very proud.
Have all the underclassmen I look out for, and I hope they know that they can achieve their dreams even when it feels like the whole world's against them.
Because we care a lot about what we do, and I'm glad that our community cares as well.
We are told this has never been done in the history of Industrial High School. Congratulations, Cobras. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Then you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. And stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 6. Summer travel is predicted to be up this year. Also ahead, more on storms that hit the south in the last day.
Here's a look at what you can expect on Community Crossroads this week. We hear from the Victoria Metropolitan Planning Organization. We also hear from candidates part of the Republican runoff.
Some social time because you get to meet people and talk to them. But it was more the embracing of Republicans, what that stands for.
hostile start to summer is right around the corner. Early forecasts are pointing to a season filled with travel. AAA predicts tens of millions of people will travel away from home this Memorial Day weekend.
Nearly 44 million people will travel 50 miles or more from home this Memorial Day weekend. 3.5 million of them are expected to travel by air, a 9% increase compared to 2019, according to AAA.
In 2005, that was the busiest Memorial Day weekend we've seen in 25 years. That was 4 years after 9/11 and right before the recession. So that year was particularly busy for travel. What we're seeing now is in 2024, 4 years after the pandemic, the travel industry has just come back in a big way.
Aixa Diaz with AAA says Memorial Day travel paints a picture of what we can expect for summer travel. Based on their projections, the season is expected to be sizzling hot. The Transportation Security Administration, for its part, also expects setting new records this summer. The agency predicts screening more than 3 million passengers on same peak days this upcoming season.
Airports are going to be packed. If you've flown recently, you know that most flights these days don't have many empty seats left. People are flying in big numbers.
Diaz says road trips are also expected to set a new record, with about 38 million people traveling by car, with gas prices similar to last year.
Gas prices have been ticking down in recent days, and they really remained steady over the past month or so. So we haven't seen any spikes in gas prices.
I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
New data from the U.S. Census Bureau reveals population trends after the pandemic. The Census Bureau reported that in the Northeast and Midwest, on average, cities of 50,000 people or more showed growth, reversing declines in 2022. Population growth was highest nationwide in the South. The most populated cities have not changed. They are still New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Houston, and Phoenix. Georgetown, near Austin, is the fastest growing city in the U.S. At least 4 people are dead as multiple rounds of powerful storms stretch across the South. The waterlogged ground is struggling to absorb inches of fresh downpour. The result? Life-threatening floods. The wind is also dangerous. It throws debris and shatters windows.
Oh my God.
Today, life-threatening floods are clobbering southern states for the second day in a row. The Weather Prediction Center says a rare level of rain is behind these scenes from Texas yesterday. Today, that state, Louisiana, and Mississippi are drenched as the system also stretches to states farther east. And flash flooding isn't the only danger from these rounds of storms.
Evidently a guy had something fall into his car outside, and he came running in, had a gash on his arm about 8 inches, and we had to put a tourniquet on it.
Officials say multiple people are dead from severe weather in Houston. This building there is partially collapsed, and some skyscrapers have shattered windows.
We're in the restroom and we hear everybody screaming and coming toward the restroom, and there's like dust blowing down from the ceiling tiles.
Utilities report nearly 1 million homes and businesses were without power in Texas yesterday. Some say they were dangerously close when huge transmission towers came down.
Lights were flickering on and off. We did start hearing a lot of wind, and doors just started to fly off.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Well, good evening, everyone. For us, the cloud deck is just about to start thinning out. You can see that right there, and we're going to be looking at a lot of sunshine for the weekend. But we got to reassess everything that happened this week. We'll talk a little bit more about Houston and what the folks can expect for this week. All that coming up in just a moment. Well, temperatures have been on the low side today because of the cloud cover and the rainfall that we had at 73 degrees, and that was actually our high temperature for the day. But by the weekend, that is going to go up. We're going to go up into the 90s as soon as tomorrow. So what a far cry from where we were. Only 10 hundreds officially reported out at the airport. That brings our yearly total to 15.15, gives us a little bit, about almost 2 inches of surplus at this time. So, you know, keep it coming. We need a little bit more rain. It's that severe stuff that we don't really need. Now, the showers are decreasing over the area. We're probably the last ones to actually see any sunshine today. Down to the southwest, as you can see, a couple of storms fired in northern Mexico, but those are going to decrease once the sun goes down. These were fired by the intense heating out there. And you can see how, you know, San Antonio had a sunny day, and even Corpus Christi had a sunny day, but we didn't. That's all right. The weekend is what matters. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this area of low pressure is the reason we had all that severe weather ahead of it. Well, the good news is now on top of us. That means it's going to be leaving, and by tomorrow, higher pressure builds in. And that's going to give us quite a bit of a clearing trend as we get to the weekend. In fact, by tomorrow, you're going to say, what rain? There's the last of it. You can see moving out of the South Texas area. And of course, you know, our friends in Houston really got hammered over the last couple of days, and wanted to show you the totals that they've got probably in the 4 to 8 inch range, while we barely got about a quarter to a half an inch in our area. We wanted the rain. We didn't need the severe weather. And of course, you can't separate one from the other. Well, you know, that's one of the things. Now, in Houston, I wanted to say the following. As of today, Don and I were talking, last night, 1 million people had no power. As of today, 400,000 people have no power. What I'm telling you is that for the rest of the week, temperatures are going to be in the 90s. Can you imagine being in a hot house with all that humidity and it being 90 degrees and you have no air conditioning? I would check on your family and friends and say, hey, you want to come visit Victoria for the weekend or something? Because the howling winds were just amazing. Not only that, and then this is the biggest problem. The high power lines, which, you know, carry the major electricity across the state, and then it goes into substations and then into your house and to your neighborhoods. Without those high power lines, nothing comes through. So those are the freeways that bring us the energy that we need. And for cooling down, it's going to be a tough weekend. Now, Future Tracker shows you one thunder shower down there that should, if it does develop, move to the south. I don't think it's going to develop. Things are really drying up nicely. The one in San Antonio also falling apart. So by and large, things are clearing up very nicely for the next couple of days. In fact, as soon as tomorrow, you're going to be outdoors and thinking, what happened? Well, we're looking for sunshine tomorrow, getting up to about 90 degrees in Port Lavaca. Things are actually going to be a good weekend. Sunny skies for Cuero, getting up to about 90 degrees. And for the rest of us, get a load of this. What happened to the rain? Well, it's all gone. Got a little bit of a heat wave coming in because temperatures are going to be above seasonal averages, not at records, but just very close to that. So get ready for a little bit of a warmth. That is your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that, put Crossroads Today on your phone. Here's Don.
Mike, thank you. Zach Brown has your sports, and Zach is focused on those playoffs.
Yes, sir. Some teams in the area can shut the doors on their series, and others, beginning today, I'll have that in sports. The postseason on the baseball and softball diamonds continue in the Crossroads. Victoria East in the regional quarter round for the first time since the 2018-2019 season. They open up their best-of-3 series against Brownsville Veterans Memorial tonight at 6 p.m. We'll get a score later on this evening. All 3 games will take place at Cabinet Stadium in Corpus. Game 2 would be tomorrow at 5 p.m. with Game 3 being immediately after Game 2 if necessary. We also have 2 area teams facing off against one another, Industrial and Hallettsville. Their game just about to get underway in about 30 minutes, 7 p.m. in Karn City. This game, huge. These 2 teams are in the same district. They split their season series. Industrial took Game 1 in the regular season 8-3, but Hallettsville rocked them in Game 2 17-1, but that no longer matters. They decided on a 1-game playoff, win or go home score later on this evening. Yesterday it was also playoff day in the Crossroads. We had a huge series that was right here in Victoria. Game 1 between Ganado and Shiner. Now, Shiner led 3-0, but Ganado able to pitch a scoreless top half of the 4th inning, and coming up to the plate, trying to get right back in the ball game. A leadoff single is going to get the job done. Ganado suddenly cooking with nobody out after a great bunt moves him over to second. He works himself over to third, and a pass ball is going to bring him in to score that lead, cut to just 2. It's now 3-1 Shiner in the bottom of the 4th, but in Shiner's half of the 5th, they waste no time getting runners on base. With a runner in scoring position, base knock up the middle, gets that run right back. It was 4-1. A few batters later, they add another to make it 5-1. Shiner does hold on and get the win. Final score of 5-3. Ganado is going to have to win Game 2 and 3 to move on in Game 2 also in about 30 minutes over at Riverside. Now, after losing Game 1 of their doubleheader, Tidehaven Baseball staved off elimination with a huge 3-0 victory in Game 2 of their doubleheader. Game 3, which will be win or go home, will be Saturday in Weimar. In softball, Hallettsville looking for a revenge on the Santa Gertrudis Academy Lions, who ended their season last year, and fast forward a year later, the 2 meet again. Hallettsville, a team on a mission, blanking the Lady Lions 4-0 in Game 1 yesterday. The Lady Brahmas eyeing revenge as they continue their quest for a state title. Game 2 will be Saturday at 3 p.m. in Corpus Christi. That is it for your sports. Don, back to you.
Zach, thank you. We're back in a moment. For the past 2 weeks, some people have enjoyed and some have been annoyed by the hum of the cicadas. Finally tonight is part of a 13-year cycle for the cicadas. You see, they grow underground for 13 years, then emerge just to make the next generation of cicadas. They grow underground, sucking on tree root sap for all of those years, only to live above ground for about a month. They come out of these holes around very old hardwood trees. They shed their skin, they crawl or fly to the top of the trees to grow their population. The peak of this cicada emergence was on Mother's Day weekend. And if you're trying to drive around and find cicadas, then you can only drive, by the way, in a Hummer.
Yeah.
Well, because they hum a lot. You know, that's the way it is.
Late afternoons.
Yeah.
We'll be listening to them, I'm sure.
But I'd rather hear cicadas than hear like sounds of high wind hitting our house.
Fortunately, we didn't have that problem. We had a little rain today. It's about 1/10 of an inch, but it's all over. By tomorrow, you're going to be seeing clearing skies, lots of sunshine, and temperatures in the mid-90s all week long. So I'm calling it a little bit of a heat wave because all these temperatures are 5 to 8 degrees above our seasonal averages. So yes, say hello to summertime.
All right, get that AC going. Mac, thank you, and thanks for joining us. We'll see you tonight for 25 News Now at 10. Have a good one, everybody.